Alert. Quantum surge detected. Vector 597.
Oh, no. Not that. Ah!
Greetings, Maximals. Welcome to episode 37 of Too Much Energon, the Lasercomb podcast, where we talk about Beast Wars shit and talk shit about Beast Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I am another host, NeoCal.
What's going on this week, Cal?
Talking about being old, learning how to use the Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wiping out on skateboards. Same old.
Resident Evil
Same old
demos.
Resident Evil demos. Yes. Which apparently there's a second one for.
So, in the interest of full disclosure, anyone watching or listening to this right now, we already recorded our little intro bit, and I forgot to hit the record button.
We lost hours of footage.
Hours of content.
Yeah, definitely not 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah, no, it was like 5 or 10 minutes at most. But, yeah, so that was a thing that happened.
But at least you got your harrowing tale of throwing a crackhead out of your store. It'll be in the outtakes, though.
Yeah, I talk about that in the a little bit about that in the in this week's outtake, which you only get access to if you subscribe to our Patreon that I recently set up. Go check that out.
Whole Patreon.
One whole Patreon. Cheers. Patreon.com/lasercomb.
I wish I was a bigger supporter of Patreon stuff, because some people's is like $2 a month, but I think ours is. And
it gets you our thanks.
Yeah.
And
does $2 get you on the Discord?
It does, yeah.
Oh, there you go. So you can send us sick fucking Transformer memes.
Yeah. If you want to hear outtakes about me dealing with crackheads, you got to pay at least $5 per month. $5 Canadian. So if you're one of our
there you go. That's like nothing in American.
If you're one of our many American listeners, that's like $3. I don't know, but it's definitely less than $5 because our dollar sucks.
Yeah, our dollar has been a little crippled
for since
years.
2013, almost a decade now.
You and I have ranted about how what was it, like 2010 to 2012, it used to, maybe I'm getting the years wrong, it was long ago, it used to fluctuate, and ours would bump up in the summer and actually be higher than the American dollar.
Yeah,
man, those were the days.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. I also remember
it actually meant that we could go to the States and it would actually be cheaper in the summer.
Yeah.
So
conversely, I also remember in the mid to late 90s when our dollar was worth, I think, maybe 55 cents American.
Yes, a lot of tourism was American in the 90s.
Yeah.
Then they'd come here and everything would be more expensive. So.
Well, it sucked especially because at the time I was trying to buy comics and shit like that. I almost said online, but no, not even online, through mail order. Little checklists you could fill out in the back of comics magazines.
Yeah, exactly. Send those out.
Send that out with a money order for hundreds of dollars, and you'll get back 5 comics. Because the dollar was so shit, you see.
It's basically free money.
No, it's the opposite of that.
Oh jeez.
Expensive ass comic books.
Well, they're still not inexpensive. I feel like where we live in particular, no. We could live in Fort Mac and pay $10 for a jug of milk. So there's that.
Bagged milk.
What milk?
Bagged milk.
Do they particularly have expensive bagged milk in Fort McMurray?
Well, I don't know where Fort McMurray is, but I know a lot of Americans think that like bagged milk is still a thing up here when it isn't. It is over. It is back in Ontario, but it hasn't been a thing in Western Canada for like 20 plus years.
I haven't seen it. I'm sure we can find it if we needed to.
No, it's you can't.
No?
No.
Oh. So I guess it's just an Eastern Canadian thing.
Yeah. But yeah.
You've never heard of Fort McMurray?
I'm not saying I've never heard of it. I'm saying I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
I don't know exactly where it is. I'm like, is that in BC or Alberta?
It's in the Fairylands. It's. I'll give you a hint. People sometimes wear cowboy hats there, even though it snows more than half the year.
So Nanaimo.
Isn't Nanaimo that bad now?
Well, it
Really?
doesn't. They don't have the snow part, but lots of cowboy hats up there. For the listeners, Nanaimo
I
is
did
my
not
home.
know.
Nanaimo is my hometown, and indeed where me and Cal met.
Back when we used to work at the Blockbuster.
Yep. Blockbuster Video. May she rest in peace.
Yeah, Fort Mac is like where all the Albertan sand oil rigs and stuff are.
Okay, so it is in Alberta. All right.
Yeah.
I'm glad we cleared that up finally.
And then it burned up from wildfires a while back. I'm sure people are back
Burned up
after
from
the oil.
all those ditches they were digging and witches they were burning.
Yes. Did you ever watch any videos of like the dash cams from people like fleeing Fort Mac
No.
when the wildfires were like taking over the town? That is some hellish things.
No, I'm gonna
Like
be perfect.
middle of the day. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I don't know anything about this. I didn't even know this was a thing until you just brought it up.
Oh yeah, the wildfires like moved because of winds, and suddenly like the whole town had to be evacuated like very quickly. It was insane. And there are like dash cams of people like leaving a little bit later um than they could have safely, and like in the span of like 2 minutes it goes from like blue skies to like dark, and the only light, because of all the smoke, and the only light is like from like the fire on the sides of the roads. It's like hellish, man. It's crazy. Like go check out like Fort McMurray dash cam footage if you want to see some like wild crazy uh wildfire footage.
Some wild, crazy wildfires. Sounds like a hell of
Yeah.
a party.
It does.
But yeah, no, I didn't know anything about this.
Well,
because-
knowledge is something.
Knowledge is power. Because if it isn't a 25-year-old cartoon, I don't know anything about it.
Why what else matters truly?
That is all that matters in life. Is such a thing even possible? Yes, it is.
Did you ever watch Ancient Aliens
I'm pretty sure we've
in
definitely...
any realistic way?
I'm pretty sure we've talked about it on the air before, but it's not a show that I'm super into. But like, if I'm like flicking, like looking through the channel guide, and I see that Ancient Aliens is on, I'll be like, oh hey, cool.
Yeah.
But I won't really like seek it out.
Yeah. My ex had used to pay for cable when like nobody else we knew did, and cable box came with like a PVR thing.
Yeah.
So I just go through and like record random things, and Ancient Aliens was one of them.
Nice.
just cause. Just wanted to see what wild. It was mostly background,
Yeah.
right? But the funny thing is, I feel like Giorgio Tsoukalos, the host, the wild-haired host.
Yeah. I never remember that guy's name, but
I don't know why I remember it so well.
Well, and I even follow him on social media, but yeah. And
Yeah,
as soon as I see his name, I'm like, oh yeah, it's the aliens guy. Aliens.
If you ever, it either stays in your head or you never remember. It's like hack and slash remembering which one's blue and which one's red. Impossible.
Yeah. There is no way to find out.
But he's pretty funny on social media, and I feel like he likes to do what if experiments. Like, oh, well, yes, like this could have done it, and they could have done this, but what if aliens helped him with this, and here's some like minor evidence like why. And so I feel like he takes it with like a grain of salt, but some of the other experts on the show are like way too committed into it, whereas he's just kind of like, it's a big thought experiment for him and he's just having fun with it.
After the lights in the sky were seen over Roswell in 1947, the government rolled in right away and sealed off the whole area. They wouldn't do that unless there were extraterrestrials.
They've got you there. I had
I love the
X.
I love the like leaps in logic in that show. It's always like like they'll talk about like something that actually happened, and they'll just be like, well, you know, like this happened and this other thing happened, and there are only two possible explanations it could be. Something that isn't true, or aliens. Something that's a cover-up, or is aliens.
Therefore aliens. Yeah.
Therefore aliens, yeah.
I have an ex-friend who is like a failed archaeologist, anthropologist.
Hey, don't talk about me that way.
And I said ex-friend.
Oh, there we go.
He actually has like a lot of like time in the field. He I think his specialty was like Mayan or Aztec hieroglyphics or something like that. And he came to the conclusion that because they mostly say that like non-European like sites like the pyramids or in South America or in like Egypt, they say those are made by aliens, but none of the European things,
Stonehenge
sites like Stonehenge are. And that way, basically he's implying that they're all like low-key racists.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, except that they do talk about Stonehenge on the show, which he ignored. And I'm like, okay, well, what about the people of color and the non-European people? And it's just weird. Like, I feel like people throw that around like too easily, and I'm like, it's so easy to write other people off and just go, ha, racists, don't have to listen to them. But I feel like they were insulting like me watching it, and I'm like, maybe. And then I did some digging. I'm like, I think maybe one of them is racist. But Giorgio Tsoukalos, he's just in it for like the wild ride. Like, how can he stay on cable television and keep having his hair get bigger and bigger and bigger before his producers say something?
Like, it's like he's going a little too far down the rabbit hole. Quick, someone get the hedge clippers.
Right? Like him with his like, I don't know if it was a fake tan or just real tan, but like that guy with his tan and his like huge hair. Like some episodes you'd be like, okay, that's reasonable, and then other like clips from episodes you'd be like, okay, he's trolling us. Like literally like the troll dolls. Like he's fucking like trolling us. Like his hair is like 4 feet high. The camera is set backwards.
He's
The
literally
camera is
trolling
set
us.
backwards so that they can get all of his hair in the shot. They're trolling us. Literally.
Well, and to circle back to the point that this failed friend / failed archaeologist,
He's failed. He's a failure in a lot of ways.
yeah, all
short.
all all around kind of a failure. But to circle back to his point a little bit, I will say we know that Stonehenge and a bunch of other ancient alien sites found on planet Energon were actually put there by the aliens that fuck with the Maximals.
Wow, this crazy tangent is actually fitting. It's a fitting segue.
It is a fitting segue.
So Stonehenge was aliens, as well as other like sites.
Yeah.
So
the ancient the ancient obelisk with the flying island.
We should submit Beast Wars footage to that show.
Of like the probe from Chain of Command, the probe like landing at Stonehenge.
You can't fake this footage.
We could submit like like the glyph in the trigger on the floating island that signaled a trap. We could submit that as like an archaeological find. Yeah.
These rare Siberian tigers were remote to the area back then. Were native to the area back
then. Next thing you know, some ancient astronaut theorists believe that the fossilized remains of prehistoric animals were actually transforming robots from an alien planet.
And then it shows completely like unrelated, just stock footage of like really bad like CGI like stone formations like moving, or like a shot from The Mummy with like the wall opening up, or just completely unrelated like things.
So are we
really dramatic shots of like King Tut's like bust,
and then like a static shot of like a UFO silhouette flying across the sky.
And then like slowly fading into view, like the silhouette of fucking season 1 Optimus super aping. Well, we actually do kind of have more aliens in this episode.
Yeah, we do. I think this is a good time to transition into talking about the episode. But first, here's a word about our Patreon. Do you want to hear more Lasercomb content each week? Is one episode of Too Much Energon or Alphanumeric just not enough? Then subscribe to the Lasercomb Patreon, where starting at a mere $5 Canadian per month, you get exclusive bonus recordings of Christopher Siege, NeoCal, and AP Sniddler shooting the shit, access to the Lasercomb Discord, monthly shoutouts, and more. Higher tiers include bonus video content, the ability to pitch future podcast content to us, a free t-shirt, and more. Support Too Much Energon and Alphanumeric by joining the Lasercomb Patreon today. I got one move, what can I say? So this week on Too Much Energon, we are talking about the second episode of the third season of Beast Wars, Deep Metal, that originally aired on November 1st, 1998. Deep Metal. That, I mean...
In the ocean for fish.
I mean, that...
That's kind of the episode, actually.
Mermaid, murder. Mermaid, murder. Metalocalypse podcast coming soon. Perhaps.
I would definitely be down for that. That's a future project for sure.
I've got a lot in the queue.
Yeah.
All right, so the episode opens with at the Axelon in the Ark's cave, and basically Rhinox is complaining that that getting everything like fully functional again is pretty much like a miracle because he's working with like spare parts and shit, and Optimus is like, we have to hold on, damn it. We have to hold on until the Maximal Elders send someone. And if they don't,
Rhinox
well,
is like, right.
and if they don't, well, shit, we'll have to figure something else out, basically.
We'll have to rethink our strategy in the beat. And I'm like, no, you need to kill some Predacons.
Yep.
Like that's kind of always been the answer to this, especially lately. If they're willing to like completely undo like the present, the future, history,
The future past.
the future past. If they're willing to fuck all that up, you gotta put aside your maximal compassion and fuck a bitch up.
Yeah, it's like the Batman Joker logic, you know.
How many times does the Joker escape and go on a murdering spree before you just fucking take him out?
How many Robins have to die? How many Batgirls have to be crippled?
Oh, Jesus. Just one to make Oracle.
Just one. So we cut to space, and there is a ship flying through space, and I'm just gonna jump ahead a little bit. Like, I think it's hilarious that the ship kind of looks like Depth Charge's like transmetal like ship mode. It's very reminiscent.
Does it?
He
Oh, he's got like a very aquatic theme. Yeah.
Yeah, the ship that he arrives in, like, to me anyway, looks very similar to his like transmetal like flying manta ray mode.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So yeah, he shows up in space, and then he's like scanning
What's
for
that warp thing? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
There's
like
an anomaly basically.
I think the anomaly is like the show doesn't explain it at all, so I'm gonna go like pretty headcanon-y and like shoot into gaping plot holes.
Okay.
I think what happened was the Planet Buster, when it exploded and sent out that big like quantum surge, I think it created like some sort of like temporal wormhole.
And it randomly grabbed him from the future
Yeah.
and pulled him into their timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got nothing else.
That's that's all I got. Temporal wormhole created by the Planet Buster exploding.
Yeah. Seems good.
A doorway through time.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you because he's hit by that like light that came
That turned them into transmetals, yeah. And when he
and he even like looks at himself and he's like glowing.
Yeah.
So he becomes a transmetal.
Yeah. So I would say like it's definitely related to the Planet Buster somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just grabbed him. Maybe he's somewhere near Earth at present date. And
Yeah.
or not. I don't.
Yeah, that's my thought.
Because he's looking at a system. Wait, let me.
Oh shit.
Oh wait. Yeah, he's looking for the. So his ship says energy signature of Protoform X detected. But he's in the present.
Well, he's in his present, which is 300 years
his
from
present.
now. Yeah.
300 years?
Yeah, we've talked about this before. They're from
Not
like
millions?
300 years in our future is where
Oh,
the
sorry.
Maximals live.
That,
Yeah.
I see what you meant. I thought
Yeah.
you meant the future of the
No,
current
no.
Maximals. I was like, So it says energy signature Protoform X detected, his ship.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay.
hmm.
So he
And
probably
it looks like he is in Earth. He's in Sol system.
yeah, so
1,
he's
2,
in
3, 4,
Earth's
5.
solar system in his like the present day, so 24th century.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Now, in Stargate, if there is an active wormhole open, you can actually scan and you can scan the other like for things on the other side, and you can even like radio communicate. So I think, like I said, that when the Planet Buster exploded, it created this like temporal wormhole,
and that's how his ship is detecting.
and that's how his
Protoform X.
ship is detecting Protoform
Okay.
X, because
Got it.
he's able to like scan through, like the signal is coming through this temporal wormhole into the present.
And I just counted up the planets in his little 3D modeling thing, and one is clearly Saturn, and there's 9, and in the 90s Pluto's used to be
A planet,
one
yeah.
of the 9 planets. Yeah, so it is, he is in the right system for that to make sense. So the temporal wormhole that grabs him is just a time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
And
Makes sense.
and the fact that he glows just like they did when they got hit with the quantum surge, and when he lands on the planet, he emerges as a transmetal himself, tells me that it's as a result it's there because of the Planet Buster exploding.
I fully agree.
So
Okay.
there's
Makes
some
sense.
the once again, the show does not explain this at all. Like, but I like
Now that you're explaining it though, makes
yeah.
that I'm on board.
I wish the show had actually explained that, but I feel like I did an alright job kind of piecing all that together.
Honestly, yeah.
I definitely did not when I was 13 watching this.
Oh no. Fuck no. You're like, oh cool. He's from the 24th century. He from future place too. He go back time. That's all you need to know. And I mean, really, that is all we need to know, right?
Fair, yeah.
So I don't understand Megatron's his like mission that he sends only 2 of his Predacons out to do. Here.
Yes.
His sub commander Inferno and Rampage.
Yeah, so Inferno has a new title this episode. He's referred to as Sub Commander.
Being a good boy makes you second in command.
Well, Scorponok's dead, and I'm definitely not going to make it Waspinator, so...
And Quick Strike is a moron.
And not nearly as loyal of a moron as Inferno. No.
Yeah. Also, I don't like him.
I mean, I think that's probably what it boils down to.
So this genius plan is honestly, man, the writing for this episode feels a little weak compared to other ones.
I would agree. Yeah.
The plan is have Inferno attack the new Maximal base, and Rampage with his big guns shoot Optimus when he comes out to fight Inferno. Right?
Yeah.
But
When you say it out loud.
But Megatron, Waspinator, and Quick Strike are just chilling back at base. So it's a 2-man mission with... I feel like he sent them out because, like... I don't get it.
No.
Inferno can be... Inferno's almost as indestructible as Rampage, though, apparently. That guy's come back from falling into, like, literal pieces 6 times now.
Well, and
He
he was
must be on record for blowing up way more than any other.
well, and at the end of last
Transformer.
season too, he was straight up incinerated in an
It
energon
showed him
exploding.
being incinerated. I swear.
Yeah.
Like you could see his like molecules like separating and like his face warp as like the energon explosion like wiped him away. But then we saw in the aftermath him just hobbling around.
Yeah. Attention all Predacons, pull yourselves together.
And apparently he's really fucking hard to kill.
Yep. So Inferno and Rampage are about to engage in this genius plan outside of the you can come up with a name for the new maximal base. Arc Mountain.
Yeah, Arc Mountain.
All right, cool. Arc Mountain. There we go. We did it, folks. So they're outside Arc Mountain, and Inferno is like he explains the plan to Rampage, and even Rampage thinks it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So
And Rampage gets like this weird like psychic connection, or maybe he just has better sensors than all the other Transformers on the show,
maybe
because he like looks up into the sky and he's like, someone's coming, someone I know, or no, someone I remember.
yeah.
And
So Inferno like goes to engage.
he fucks off.
Yeah, he fucks off to go and like start his part of the plan, and then Rampage fucks off, and
Well, Rampage just pieces out. He's not. He
yeah,
doesn't even. Yeah.
he fucks off in the opposite direction. Like he has no interest in any
I
of
love
this.
that. You know what? Now that I'm rewatching it with you, I really appreciate the nuance of Rampage. Like, there's more to him than just being like a screaming aggro bot.
Which is kind of how he was first depicted.
Yeah, a giant indestructible like monster that Megatron found a way to control.
Yeah, initially to me he was basically like Jason Voorhees meets Hannibal Lecter, but a Transformer.
He would probably like both of those people. Yeah, he had some horror serial killer torture aspects going for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he still does in this episode.
So, depth charge. Blah.
Blah. He crashes.
Excuse me. Yeah, his ship crashes. Cheetor spots it. Cheetor radios back to base, and Optimus is like, "Oh shit, I better come check this out." And transforms and flies out. Meanwhile, Inferno is like engaging in his quote unquote plan. And he's basically just like dancing outside of like the big like steel doors that the Maximals have built to like as an entrance into Arc Mountain.
He moves so weird. He's like dancing.
Yeah, he's
lifting
doing
his
like this
legs up
weird
really
like
high,
almost like yeah. I don't know how to describe it, but it's like
but he's not shooting.
Yeah, no. And just like yelling like you will burn.
Yeah, it's funny. Because the camera moves beside Black Arachnia and Silverbolt, and you just hear in the background, "You will burn." And so now it's just like, Inferno says some Inferno bullshit in the background, and they don't even waste ammunition on him.
No.
They like pull a lever and like a Home Alone trap activates and like a rock falls on him.
Yeah.
And Optimus like Primal flies over his head.
Yeah. As
Faces out, ignoring him.
Yeah, as Inferno is like trying to like go about this plan to draw Optimus out. Optimus just flies right past him and like ignores him. Yeah, Inferno gets crushed by this giant boulder that Black Arachnia unleashed onto him. I like the sound that he makes when it like drops onto him. He just like groans.
Yeah, he's like, oh. Like He saw it coming. He's the character that they can like squish and blow apart every other episode, and then he just magically is fine.
I mean,
You think they'd? Sorry, go ahead.
It used to be Waspinator, and indeed it still is.
Waspinator, yeah.
But they're doing it with Inferno too.
Yeah. At this point, you know what? Like, scoop up the bits of Inferno into like a maximal dust pan, and just dump them into the lava. Like, fuck that guy. Get rid of him. Like, how many times do you have to like face this guy and like knock him into 20 pieces? Just dump him in the lava pits.
Mm-hmm.
Good riddance. Or melt him down and try to use his metal for something. I don't know. Like, they got the Maximals go way too easy on the Predacons.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Cheetor decides to fly after depth charge's like crashed ship.
Yeah, depth charge ship crashes into the ocean, and Cheetor sees it happen, and he's all like, "Oh shit!" But then Rampage spots Cheetor and fires a missile and shoots him out of the air, and it's at this moment when I was watching this episode the other night. My partner came in the room, and so she was watching this scene along with me, and she says to me, she's like, "What is Rampage supposed to be exactly?" And I'm like,
A giant enemy crab.
I'm like, he's a crab. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, he's a crab tank. She's like, oh, that's what that's supposed to be. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's a toy,
Yeah.
damn it.
Well, a lot of them at this point like lose their very simplistic design and they start becoming more intricate. Right? And so I understand that. Like in season 1, it's just a realistic velociraptor, a realistic T-Rex,
Yeah.
a realistic cheetah. And then they started getting wacky and they started having multiple modes, and I understand what she means. Like, what is he? He's just this like tangled kind of like mess where he's
I know.
kind of a
Yeah.
tank. But yeah, and so I feel that.
No, and I
So
brought
these things even at this point.
and that's why I brought it up. It's because
Yeah.
I definitely saw that was my takeaway from it as well.
A little less iconic.
Yeah. But very toyetic.
Yeah. So we see that Depth Charge's ship does fine underwater. And in fact, despite the fact he was on fire from entering planet Energon's atmosphere, and the fact he plunged into the ocean, instead of smashing into a million pieces, the ship is entirely intact. And let me tell you, that's not really how physics works, but this is the future.
I was just gonna say that ship is from the 24th century, good sir.
And it's made by
An alien race.
machines. It's made by an alien race. So yeah, maybe even the glass in the front doesn't smash. So
maybe it's made of transparent aluminum.
oh shit. and apparently all of its functions work perfectly fine underwater too, despite the fact it's a spacecraft.
It even throws up a DNA sequencer.
Mm-hmm.
An emergency, which it doesn't actually call a DNA sequencer. It calls it like an emergency transformation scanner or something.
That makes sense, because that's kind of what the Autobots did on Earth. Kind of?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Teletran 1. So, and something...
Is there a significance to his ship number? It says 04 on the top of it.
I don't know. But now I'm curious, so I'm going to look that up on the Transformers wiki.
Yeah, they'll have to know, right? They know everything.
Is
They're
such
never
a
wrong.
Is such a thing even possible?
Yes, it is.
Deep charge.
Deep charge. Do do. All right.
Deep metal. Cheers. Trivia. Yeah, trivia. Depth charge's spacecraft totally looks like his vehicular alternate mode.
Whoa. What trivia?
Um, it doesn't say anything about the number.
We'll have to dig into that another time. You know, I always say that. We never do.
No, we never
We
do.
completely wash our hands of whatever episode we just did and move on.
That's what you got to do with a podcast like this. You know, you gotta when you're doing one of these every week, just episode
You
by
gotta
episode.
move on.
You just got to keep going, right?
Yeah, just keep on keeping on. Keep on trucking.
Keep on keeping
Well,
on.
we gave the minimal amount of effort, listeners, so
I didn't even read the entire wiki page, so
sacrilege.
So after the I'm just gonna say DNA sequencer because that's what I know it as.
Yeah.
So after the DNA sequencer finishes, Depth Charge then, who is sitting in his robot form in the cockpit of his ship, is like, Depth Charge, maximize, and then goes into beast mode, which is a giant transmetal manta ray.
See,
So explain that one to me.
When I first watched it, right? I didn't even notice until you had messaged me.
Oh, really?
But in case what we just said kind of like feels off, but anyone listening just is an autopilot. You say maximize when you go into your robot form.
Yeah, it's your activation code to go to robot form, yeah.
You say beast mode, or nothing sometimes, to go into your beast mode. He says maximize, and
If you're
into his manta ray.
If you're a transmetal, sometimes you say flight mode.
Or Knievel mode.
Or Knievel mode. Damn it, it was you who brought that up this time.
I beat you to it.
Yeah.
Or combat mode? Or something like that?
Air assault vehicle mode.
Jesus. So I think that's the first time on the show where they've goofed that a little.
Yeah. I wonder if that was somewhat like just an error either on the part of the writers or the animators, because like typically in this show before, like characters have always emerged from stasis pods in beast mode. And then the first thing they do is say their name and then maximize, and then they go into robot form. That's how like every single stasis pod episode is gone. But this time,
You're right.
Because he wasn't a protoform, he was a like fully functional transformer, fully functional maximal.
A maximal, yeah.
He was already in robot
form. Show the
reader.
It wants to show the reader, the viewer that hey, this guy's a maximal. So maybe they just did it to tell kids, hey, like this is a maximal. This is a good guy.
Yeah, but his ship had maximal symbols all over it.
Oh, it did.
I think it was just an error, like a goof on their part.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with. Anyway.
Maybe he doesn't know how it works. Maybe that's his bad. And when he goes and hangs out with the Maximals, they'll be like, you're supposed to say maximize when you transform into your robot form.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Beast
faux.
mode.
You're doing it the wrong way. It's kind of a faux pas, you
And
know.
we do it. We all do it the other way. So you have to change.
So yeah, he swims away. Giant, like I said, he's a giant transmetal manta ray. He's interesting looking.
Yeah, sure.
I
Look, you have depth charge right behind you.
Oh yeah, totally. I have a complete like boxed like mint copy of Ultra Beast Transmetal 2 Depth Charge from 1998. Still sealed.
Right
See?
there.
It's right beside me.
It's definitely not something else.
No, it's actually because I don't have depth charge and I wanted to put something in the video version of this show that was kind of related, I put Cybershark. My Beast Wars
I actually think
Cybershark
he's
figure.
pretty freaking rad.
Yeah, he's pretty dope. He was like one of my favorite toys that I had of a character that wasn't in the show.
Listeners probably know this, but Cybershark did not make the cut for the Beast Wars TV show.
No.
Would have been cool. Would have been cool to have an aggro shark guy on their team.
He's a
on the
maximal.
Maximals.
Like
Yeah, so like Inferno would come out and be like, "You will burn, Maximals," and then like Cybershark would come out and he'd just be like, "You will be ripped apart, Predacon." And then they just bonk heads against each other and fly into a million pieces. It would have been great.
play the Jaws
Because indeed,
theme.
doesn't he have sharp teeth?
He does, yeah.
Yeah, he looks a little Inferno-ash. Oh yeah, he would have been fun. Great fucking fun.
Great figure.
You are enemy to the colony #1.
Yes.
Yeah. Uh-oh, I just heard a sound. Like, did I drop out? Did Alistair drop out? What happened?
What did
Am
happen?
I crazy?
Are you?
Alistair, no! Be gone!
He's gone. Shit. This fucks up the video, too.
Oh, right, because right. I guess we should stop recording.
No, the show must go on.
We'll just piece the audio.
Now recording.
Should we do an audio sync?
No, let's just keep going. Keep on rolling.
All right.
Keep this
Let's
train
roll.
going. Depth Charge is like swimming around and he sends out this little like torpedo probe type thing.
Looks like a little what are those little like things that crawl around on sharks and manta rays and stuff and like eat the little bits of food and parasites and stuff?
I don't know.
A remora or a shark sucker or suckerfish.
Ah, well,
That's
Lear-
what it looks like.
I'm learning all kinds of things on this podcast.
Yeah, they kind of they're kind of so bright. They're kind of they're not a parasite because they linger around. They kind of got like a suction and they hang around the bodies of different larger fish. And they will like clean a shark's teeth and the shark will lick them. And they're usually like on the underbelly of bigger fish. So it's kind of like a win-win. They like eat little parasites and clean their teeth and stuff like that, and they get a free ride. Symbiotic relationship. So that's what I think that little probe is supposed to look like.
That's kind of gross.
Is it?
I think so.
Oh, well. I think actual parasites are much Much grosser. Much more yucky.
Speaking of yucky, so with his probe thing, he spots Cheetor floating upside down in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And what does he say here? So he
Yeah,
seems
he says-
concerned by this. He's like, it's some kind of catbot. And I bet
He's probably not too happy about.
I bet he's not enjoying the water. And so he goes over and saves Cheetor, which I'm like, oh, hey, cool. That's the maximal
Okay,
thing
so
to
he's
do.
a good.
He's a good guy.
Maximal.
Yeah. So he goes over and saves him. Then we cut back to the dark side, and Megatron is there chilling out with Quick Strike and Waspinator. And
He tells Waspinator to go salvage Inferno.
Yeah, because the computer lets him know that that Inferno is offline and Rampage cannot be found.
Mm-hmm.
How is he eluding my scanners? So he sends
And I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so he sends Waspinator off to go and retrieve Inferno, and which Waspinator does, but he's like bitching that
He does that Waspinator complaining thing. Oh, blah blah blah. Salvage Inferno. When Waspinator blow up, nobody salvage.
oh, why universe hate Waspinator?
Great character.
Yeah.
I want to see if he was free and he wasn't forced into the Beast Wars, what kind of life he would have. Because I feel like he's only doing the things that he's ordered to. It's not like he enjoys being a soldier or anything, right? Like, is he a programmer, an engineer? Like, what's his deal?
Well, yeah, I don't know. He seems to operate control panels a lot in the dark side, so maybe he's like a comms guy.
Ah, there we go. He's the comms guy.
Yeah.
So what does Megatron do? Send Quick Strike to go look for Rampage so he can figure out how Rampage is eluding his scanners.
Yeah.
And I'm like, did we forget? Are we forgetting something this episode?
I was wondering about that. Yeah, yeah. He
has Rampage's spark in
a vice.
Literal vice.
Yeah, he could just squeeze it and be like, "Come back now, little bitch."
You little bastard. And just squeeze it every like 60 seconds until he gets in gear and brings his ass home, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, did we forget that you can torture him no matter where his physical body is?
Yeah.
So
that's how that works.
Odd. Yeah.
Strange. So Depth Charge introduces himself to Cheetor and says why he's there. He's there to track down Protoform X, Rampage.
Oh right, he puts him on like a little rocky island away from the shore.
And then speak of the devil, wouldn't you know it? His computer tells him that Protoform X is in the area, vector blah 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 blah. So Depth Charge like transforms, jumps back into the water, and like starts swimming around looking for Rampage, and Rampage is like hiding right beneath him under some rocks and some like algae.
Very badly.
Very badly, yeah. And
like,
he is a like shiny ass like metallic fucking crab.
He's black, purple, white, and gold, right? He's huge.
He's such an explosion of colors.
And no part of him is green, and he's hiding in green grass underwater.
Yeah.
With like 3 rocks on him. It's like putting a pillow like over your like a small pillow over your body and expecting to hide from your siblings during hide and seek.
Yeah.
He's so man, that is wonky. It's so easy to see him. And he's like, that's weird. He should be right here. And I'm like, are you blind underwater? Dude? Like you have a water form. How is it possible you couldn't have seen him? He's like, impossible. His little scanner's like, location 000. And Depth Charge is like, impossible. There's nothing there but rocks. And then in the wonkiest animation ever, Rampage screams "Ah!" and leaps out from his really shitty hiding spot and does a 180 midair and like latches onto to depth charge in his crab form.
Yeah. It's really weird looking.
It's awkward. And he's like, "Greetings, old playmate. I'm so glad you could make it."
Yeah.
It's funny. He even says, "Oh, X, it's you." And Rampage is like, "I'm called Rampage now. It's a bit obvious, but to the point." And I'm like, you're not allowed to do that. That's our job. You're not allowed to point out how obviously on the nose your name is. We're supposed to do that.
What if Cheetor had become a rhino? Wouldn't that be wild?
What if Depth Charge scanned a seagull?
Well, and apparently his name was Depth Charge back on Cybertron, so it's like, did he turn into a submarine before?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. That actually worked a lot better than I thought it would. I was going for that to be like, haha, his name was Depth Charge back on Cybertron. What was he, a submarine? And then I'm like, wait, that actually kind of works.
Well, if he was on Earth, that would make sense. There's no oceans on Cybertron.
Yeah, fair.
So...
Well, he's from Colony Omicron.
Oh, right, which could be a planet.
It could be an
or
organic
moon or
planet.
something, yeah.
Yeah, we don't actually know.
So there's a back and forth between these two as we find out they're acquainted somehow.
Yeah.
And don't like each other.
And they fly out of the ocean and into the air, and Cheetor spots this flying manta ray, transmetal manta
Crab.
ray, with a giant enemy crab latched onto it.
It's weird.
And Cheetor
then,
says something along the lines of like, "Wow, now I've seen everything," or something like that.
It's weird. He acknowledges how fucking weird it is. And
the fight that they have here, though, is actually, like, I think kind of brutal. Like, when I was watching this with my partner the other day, I was like, this show is pretty violent at times.
yeah, so as to what Christopher said, now Depth Charge can fly, too. He's flying. Rampage changes into his robot form and, like, rides Depth Charge and reaches and grabs one of the metal panels, like, covering the head area, and, like, peels it back.
Yeah.
Exposing all the wiring. And the camera switches to his, like, manta ray face, and Depth Charge moans in incredible pain. He's like, oh, oh! And I'm like,
wow.
Odd sudden torture scene with Rampage.
Yeah, he's like, he's basically like peeling the skin off of, like,
that's the vibe I
the back
got.
of his head. Like, it's pretty fucking brutal.
He's like scalping him. Yeah, he could just shoot him, and I think that is what he ends up doing.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, "You're trickier than before. I like that." And I'm like, "Oh God, please don't let Rampage win." And indeed, he points a gun at Depth Charge's head and shoots him.
Yeah.
I'm like, is he just gonna fucking die in one episode?
And he
goes
down.
Groans in pain, yeah.
He goes down, and Rampage falls off of him, falls onto the ground, and gets literally impaled with a spike.
Where the fuck did these spikes come from? They landed on a beach. Okay, so they land on a beach. Depth Charge does some twirls and knocks Rampage off of him, and the rest is all smooth sand and stuff, and they're just random spikes.
Yeah.
That Rampage falls on.
I will say, I didn't think about the randomness of the spikes until you're bringing it up now. But what I was more preoccupied with was the fact that we're seeing him
shown on scene.
We're seeing him getting impaled through the chest with a spike. I'm like,
So
wow.
we can't call the show Beast Wars, but we can show someone being impaled while they're alive on the show.
Yeah,
That is weird, man.
just to remind the American listeners, this show was called Beasties in Canada because at the time a kids show couldn't have war in the title.
Yeah, just in the title. The
Just in the
show was
title, yeah.
exactly the same.
Yeah, yeah.
But impalement, A-okay.
So Optimus
Because they're machines, right?
so Optimus shows up and meets with Cheetor, and Cheetor gives him the 411 and tells him that, this guy Depth Charge showed up and was looking for Protoform X. And Optimus is like, oh shit, Depth Charge, implying that he knows him.
Yeah.
And back at the fight between Rampage and Depth Charge, Rampage gets up with the spike like sticking out of his chest, and he like pulls it out and like yells in agony as he does
Screams
it.
in agony. Agony and triumph. He seems to be fueled by his own pain and other people's.
Yeah.
Because he like rips this. By the way, he rips it out like pulling the thick side of the spike through him. So, but I mean, he's Rampage, so he can heal.
He's a
But yeah,
maniac.
like you said, he screams in like pain and in triumph simultaneously. Kudos to the voice actor for Rampage.
I actually
fucking maniac.
I actually really like the voice acting for Rampage. Watching the show
So do
now.
I.
I didn't think anything of it when I was watching the show as a kid, honestly, but
There's a nuance to his voice, and I really like the voice acting for him.
yeah, he's great. I don't necessarily like the voice of Depth Charge, however.
Yeah.
He sounds like he's whoever is doing the voice of Depth Charge, he sounds like he's trying way too hard to sound tough.
Okay, I can see what you mean. Yeah.
It's like someone like doing a
Pretending.
It's like
Yeah.
someone doing like a parody of like a gruff action hero.
Right. Yeah.
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 But-
Doing a satirical impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that now.
Yeah.
Something was off about it that I couldn't put into words, but that's probably it.
So
Rampage's wound heals on screen.
yeah.
So we're given one of the rare instances. Usually, it's always off screen, where he can't be destroyed.
He's
cannot
immortal,
be
yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered, like, can you not throw him into a star? Right? Like we've seen his charred, like turned to stone body, like collapse, and then he's come back, right? So, and we've seen parts of him come off, so he can be exploded and scattered, right? But like, if this guy's such a huge pain in the ass, like certainly they could have just shot him into a sun, right?
Perhaps
Or is that
perhaps his body would have been destroyed, but because
the spark would relocate and then he would
his spark would
reform.
his spark would pull a star scream and just like float through space.
And then reform or something.
Reform
his body.
Reform his body, or like possess other Transformers and
something bad. Yeah.
yeah.
Fair.
Although their plan apparently was to just find an isolated planet and ditch him there. So.
Well, he seems really smart. He seems like he'd be capable of like building a ship somehow.
Yeah.
Like the G1 Decepticons. Just dismantling like precious metals and making your own fucking ship. In a matter of days.
What a wild experience watching those episodes was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listeners, we watched More Than Meets the Eye, the first 3 episodes of G1.
Yeah. Just a couple of weeks ago, so it would have been episode 35 of this podcast.
Yes.
Go back and give that a listen.
This is episode. Oh, did we mention what episode this is?
Yep, 37.
Yeah, 37. It's It's a trip.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So I like that Depth Charge is on the ground in his manta ray form, and he's like flittering in and out of consciousness, and his fucking computer voice says, "Alert! Protoform X still functional." And I'm like, "Thanks, buddy." As he's storming towards him, getting ready to impale Depth Charge.
Ignore the pain. It's only going to get worse. uh, yeah, he's about to stab Depth Charge, and then Depth Charge like transforms and like leaps back into action at like just the right moment, and they exchange some
Action
fire.
rolls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
action rolls. They exchange some fire, and Rampage is like, "I'll fillet you for that," because like Depth Charge like shoots his gun out of his hands,
Right.
and so, and this is something that I pointed out to my partner the other night. So, Rampage goes to beast mode, well, tank mode. He goes to tank mode and like brings up his like cannon, which I'm like, your guns just got shot away, so would you even still have a cannon in tank mode?
So the cannon is a different thing, I've noticed. So he has his guns, or gun, was it 2 guns? How many did he have
Yeah, he had
before? And they were both shot out of his hands, right?
2. Yeah.
And they were shooting missiles, yeah. So the tank gun, it has shown him holding that in his robot form before, particularly Code of Hero, and he holds it like a big Gatling gun,
Oh, fair.
like out in front of him.
But okay, I'm with you there.
So it's like an extra gun, yeah.
But the point is like the thing that I actually like took note of the other day when I watched this was, so when he goes into tank mode and like starts like firing off missiles from his like front cannon, Depth Charge throws like a projectile into the barrel of Rampage's cannon, causing it to explode, causing the missile to essentially like backfire and explode. This is not the first time we've seen someone do this to Rampage.
Dinobot.
So
he shoved Waspinator's Waspinator? Yeah. Waspinator's head into his cannon.
So
right?
I think we've found Rampage's Achilles heel.
His tank form cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call.
His weak point for massive damage, if you will.
It's not underneath him, surprisingly.
No.
Even if you flip him on his back, he's still dangerous.
Yeah.
So what Depth Charge two things. When he's going towards him in tank mode and he's just shooting missiles, Rampage yells, "Rampage, attack!" And for some reason, that is so dumb to me. I don't know if we've ever heard a Maximal or a Predacon say their own name followed by attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very childish. Right? Like, Rampage, attack! And I'm like, what? Is he psyching himself up? Is he ordering himself to attack? I don't know what's going on there. But the thing that Depth Charge takes, I think it's his like stingray or like manta ray tail. Like, it looks like the end part of his beast mode.
What if attack is his activation code? Because we've never heard him say maximize or terrorize.
We haven't?
No.
Well, he didn't transform when he said attack. He just rolled towards Depth Charge and said, "Rampage, attack."
Well, never mind then. Although we've never heard him use an activation code. So
I didn't know that. He's too cool for school.
What better, since his like allegiance is kind of nebulous. Well, it's not even nebulous. It's just like he's technically a Maximal, but he's also a sociopathic like spree killer.
Oh, he's fine with killing everyone and anyone.
But he's kind of aligned with the Predacons right now, out of necessity. So, like, what would his activation code even be?
Well,
Attack.
as we found,
Rampage. Attack.
Rampage attack. Why not? You will suffer. I don't know. But that's a good point. Like, as we found out, though, you can make your activation code whatever the fuck you want. On the fly, even. Right? Like, Dinobot changed his activation code to maximal.
Rampage.
Himself.
Red Bull.
I can't think of a cool Rampage transform.
Rampage.
X gon' give it to ya. There we go. He's gonna yell out X gon' give it to ya.
Rampage. Pulverize.
Oh, I like that actually.
Rampage.
Pulverize.
Brutalize.
Brutalize is good.
Yeah.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. I like pretending Rampage is DMX, but you know what was weird?
Rip in peace.
DMX passed away recently. Like it was like a week or two like maybe the same week. I can't really remember. Where you and I were like like inserting X Gon Give It To You like
into an episode of the podcast.
And
then he died like a week or two later. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Because
It was very weird because we were just talking about it.
And like I hadn't thought of that song in like a decade prior to that.
Yeah. So it's not our. So basically, we can never reference old songs ever again. Otherwise, we're gonna kill a beloved artist.
Yeah.
So never again. Oh shit! You were singing a song earlier in the outtakes.
Oh no.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, I was singing.
I was singing Enya on. on was it alphanumeric?
Oh yeah, you were. Yeah,
Oh
you were.
fuck.
Doing that. Enya, fuck.
Please don't take her away from us.
Don't take Wang Chung, damn it.
Please no.
I don't even know if they're still alive or not, but if they are, I hope they are. And if they are still alive, please don't take them.
So speaking of killing off celebrities, Depth Charge points his gun at Rampage because Rampage is in like crippled mode because you just attack his weak point for massive damage and he can't move for a while.
Right.
And I'm like, what can you do, Depth Charge? You can't just shoot him. Do you not know that he can't be destroyed?
Maybe. Well, I don't know. We know they have history, but we don't know what it is yet. So
yeah. So before he can deliver any sort of like attempted death blow to Rampage, Depth Charge is shot by Quick Strike, who says, "Not so fast, hombre," and there's kind of like a rattlesnake sound bite. Man, Quick Strike successfully sneak attacks so many Maximals, it really is starting to piss me off.
Yeah.
Like, he one-shots so many Maximals, but has lost every single one-on-one fight. He's such a Weasley. I already hated him before I got to know him, but now that we do get to know him, and he's just a Weasley, like, snivelly, like, opportunistic, out of place cowboy that I hope he becomes dismantled soon. Let's just say that.
Fingers crossed. This is the final season of the show, so
come on. Quick Strike, please die. And indeed, Quick Strike is blown up by Primal, like right after. even has time to turn around, look at the missiles, and say, "Uh-oh."
Yep.
Yeah. So presumably, Primal and wow, Primal is way fucking bigger than Cheetor. Jesus.
Yeah, he is way
The
bigger than all
size
of them.
difference. Jesus, man. So they drag his body back to the Axelon and put
Yeah.
him in a CR chamber.
Yep. Back at Arc Mountain. So, while he's being restored, Optimus gives us a bit of an exposition dump. That's tells us
Exposition.
an exposition.
Oh, oh.
A
Um,
protoform exposition. Oh shit!
Yeah, sorry.
I think
sorry,
that's
go
what
ahead.
I think that's what I'm gonna call it from now on. A protoform exposition.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so that's
calling it now. So the protoform exposition that the protoform exposition dump that Optimus gives here is basically that Depth Charge lived on Colony Omicron, Rampage when he escaped containment for the first time, went to Colony Omicron, killed everyone there. Only Depth Charge survived. Depth Charge went to the Maximal High Council and was like, kill this motherfucker. And they're like, no. So he's sworn like this big like revenge quest to destroy Protoform X himself.
yeah. So he's chasing him across the galaxy and trying to finish him off. He seems to know about Primal's mission because he mentions he's like, oh well, you failed your mission to dispose of him, so I have to take it into my own hands.
Yeah.
So presumably he went hunting him once he found out that the Axelon and had like disappeared through a time warp, chasing the Predacons, the whole golden disc thing.
Yeah.
Weird that he would presume that they were alive after all this time. Oh well, I guess he has nothing else to live for.
Yeah. It's a revenge quest, damn it.
And indeed, there's a whole talk where, to make a long story short, Primal is like, hey, things are we could use your help against the Predacons. Shit is like really bad. He's like, get the fuck out of my way. Because Cheetor is like, hi, I'm Cheetor. You saved me. Thanks, buddy. And he's like, fuck you. And he like,
Yeah,
shoulder
that was so
bumps him.
weird. Cause like when we first, when
Go
he,
chase a rat, bitch. And
yeah,
I'm like, go ahead.
yeah, it was so weird because like when we're first introduced to him, like when we're first introduced to Depth Charge and Depth Charge first encounters Cheetor, he's like, oh, some kind of cat bot. I bet he doesn't like the water. I better help him. And indeed, he helps him out. So it's like, okay, cool. Like he's he's one of the good guys. And then like a few minutes later, when he wakes up, and immediately Cheetor is just like, oh hey, man, I'm Cheetor. You saved me. And he's all like, fuck off. And,
Yeah, I
like
think
literally
the line
shoves
is
him
like,
out of the way.
Yeah, I think the line is like, go chase some rats. I'm busy or something like that, and shoulder checks him. And Cheetor's like, whoa, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
And
Also,
I don't understand. Go ahead.
also, shortly after, like almost immediately after he wakes up, his computer tells him, "Alert: Protoform X still active." And I just like to imagine that, like, literally every day, whenever he wakes up, it's like he gets that warning. So he's like waking up, and he's like all drowsy, and like his eyes are just like coming on, like lighting up, and his computer is like, "Alert: Protoform X still active," and immediately he's just like, "Whoa!"
Real shit. I don't need coffee. Knowing Protoform X is still active keeps me alive.
I don't.
And the funny, does
I
he have a
don't- I
10
don't-
minute?
I don't need Energon. The rage I feel from Protoform X still functioning is what drives me. It's the lifeblood that runs through my veins.
Where is he? um, that,
Oh,
you're not wrong, because
Oh.
he makes the most. It's so dumb. He's all like, I know that there's a whole bunch of you and only one of me, and that our goals are mutually can coincide,
with our
and it would
powers
be a
combined, if you
and it
will.
would be a mutually beneficial agreement to work together. Nah. And then he walks out of the area he is, and he realizes he sees the Ark, and he's like, oh, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, you Primal is like, you jumped back in time. Like, this is the Ark. Like, Megatron is trying to like undo like all of history and warp the fabric of like the future or the present.
Yeah, I think
like,
the
this
line.
is important.
I think the line he says is, "We're fighting for our own future."
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, this shit's important. So like, buddy, get on board. Like, there won't even be a Protoform X or you or I. He doesn't say this, but like, Protoform X won't exist. Neither will all of the Maximals if Megatron is successful. And somehow, despite seeming a little bit intelligent, he's still like, nah, bro, I only care about one thing. Defeating an opponent who can heal in the middle of a battle and can outgun me at every given moment. Later, like, it's so perplexing. It's needless, infighting.
Yeah.
I don't get that. It's like, or you can help us, and we can
So,
help you.
Depth charge is basically the Punisher.
Yeah, because he says, "Oh, it's not about revenge; it's about justice." And I'm like, "Well, those aren't mutually exclusive. You, can, it can be both."
Mm-hmm.
And then they let him go.
Yeah, they let him go, and he's like, "Boy, Primal, when you when you screw up, you really screw up." And then transforms and fucks off and flies away.
He insults Primal before he leaves, right?
And Cheetor is like, think he'll be back, and Optimus says there was a time he would have never left. Rampage changed that. And speaking of Rampage, we cut back to underwater to Depth Charge's ship, and Rampage says some bullshit and is like, "Oh, so glad you could stay. We'll have so much fun." And then he blows up Depth Charge's ship.
Yeah, he narrates the outro. That part of the episode is great because you don't see him. He's in the, presumably he's in the behind the screen narrating it. And yeah, he has his little like rant. Like, "Oh, it's so nice of you to join me, blah blah blah. Now we'll have some fun." And he blows up his ship.
Yeah.
Which I thought wasn't functional because he blew off the top hatch and it was like sparking and on fire.
Yeah, but
But now he definitely can't salvage it. Yeah.
He could have conceivably like maybe fixed it before. Now there's no chance.
True.
Yeah.
Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Interesting that his missiles work underwater as well.
Well, he is an amphibious creature.
Oh, I just meant like the missiles he shoots on the surface seem like the same missiles he shoots underwater. But hey,
Perhaps they double as torpedoes. Their propulsion method is different depending on.
oh, maybe he can just fire torpedoes.
Yeah.
At will. Like you said, he's
Amphibious.
amphibious. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's the episode.
Folks. Yeah.
So,
Any final thoughts?
my final thoughts will come along with our rating system. Which,
Sweet.
so here on Too Much Energon, if this is your first time joining us, we have a 3-point rating system that ranges from not enough Energon to sufficient Energon to too much Energon. It's basically bad, good, great.
Yeah.
Bad, anything from bad, decent to good, decent/good to great.
Yeah.
So on the too much Energon scale, what are you giving this episode, Cal?
You know what? Do you know yours? I want you. I want you to see if you can sell me on it with your rating first.
Sure. I'm going with, I'm giving this episode a sufficient amount of Energon. Not a very passionate or dispassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very middle. It's a pretty middle of the road episode, I think. It's not particularly great, but it's not bad either. It weirdly feels, you mentioned off air that it kind of feels like a filler episode, which is weird because, like, and in a way it is.
It's introducing a new character.
It's introducing a new character, and we're actually, like, we're getting some backstory involving Rampage, which I appreciate.
I do like that. I really like the Rampage story. I really like his lines. Rampage is his lines. He's oddly poetic.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a psychopath that loves torturing, but he's an intellectual. Goddamn it.
Like I said, Jason Voorhees meets Hannibal Lecter.
One of them, dumb and can't talk, and also undead, and the other, PhD.
Yeah. PhD meets immortal hulking brute.
Yeah.
Oh
man.
So yeah, this episode didn't. I don't know. I'm not mad at this episode. You know, it kind of just was. It had some things I liked in it. It didn't really have anything in it that I didn't particularly dislike. So, like I said, middle of the road, very dispassionate, sufficient amount of Energon.
Yeah, for me, that gets not enough Energon.
All right.
Like when the best thing is the small micro tidbit of Protoform X's past and a fight scene, but just little parts of the fight scene. Like all the maximal dialogue was throwaway. The Predacon plan at the beginning is just stupid.
Yeah.
Megatron forgetting he can just torture Rampage at will, or choosing not to for some reason. Also, like, since when could Rampage avoid Predacon scanners?
Right. And it's not really even explained how Rampage was
how
able
or
to,
why. Yeah,
how he was able to elude Megatron scanners. Maybe it will be in a future episode. Who knows?
the inconsistency of Depth Charge's character doesn't give me a feel. Like when Silverbolt was first introduced and there's that do 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 like trumpet, I'm like, oh, that guy's a paladin. Okay, I know who he is. Oh, Black Arachnia. Good design. I know who she is. I don't get like
Plus
through
dem
his
titties.
design. Plus those golden spider titties. I don't get like a feel based on his design, how he speaks, or his actions. Like who that, like you said, maybe like the Punisher. Like there was a good person, but he lost everything, and it's made him become someone else. I understand that, but I feel like it's not enough Energon. I'm sticking with it.
All right. Well, it is your rating, good sir. I'm sticking with my sufficient Energon because it's just an episode that I kind of felt nothing about. I had a few things in it that I liked, but yeah.
But it wasn't terrible. So that has been
Episode 2 of Season 3 of Beast Wars, Deep Metal. Best way to support the show is if you are listening on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. Helps us out with discoverability. Or leave us a positive rating, comment, or review on whatever platform you're listening/watching this show on.
Yeah.
If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email at toomuchenergon@outlook.com, or you can go to facebook.com/toomuchenergon or facebook.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB, and you can find me on Instagram at Christopher Siege, SIEGE. You'd be surprised how many people screw that up. Or you can find me on Twitter at Lasercomb, spelled the same way as the Facebook page. And Cal, people can find you on Twitter as well, yes?
Yes. Neo_Cal. NEO_KAL. I guess that's the only thing. Most Cals I meet are with a C.
Yeah. Even the other Cal that I know is with a C, so...
Somebody has that ongoing joke, yeah. Someone else out there has just NeoCal for a lot of things. So like half of my shit has an underscore in it. It's a small thing, and half of it doesn't. It's a small thing, but it bothers me. How do I acquisition other people's usernames on Twitter and stuff?
Dogecoin.
DM them some Dogecoin? Okay.
Yeah. Track
like,
them down.
Bro, I will give you $10 of Dogecoin if you give me your Twitter handle.
Meanwhile, you never get a response because it's an account that someone made like 15 years ago and hasn't logged into since.
Or it was me who made it 15 years ago and I forgot about it.
We will be back next week with the 3rd episode of Season 3 of Beast Wars, Changing of the Guard. So keep a lookout for that. That'll be episode 38 of Too Much Energon. It's getting pretty late here, and I am rather tired, so we're going to get out of here. I've been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
And I am your other host, NeoCal.
And until next week, Beast Mode!
Maximize!